Hi, I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and welcome to the Mayor's Roundtable. Intelligent conversation around a semi-round table, keeping you, the citizens of Berkeley Heights, informed with Mayor Robert Woodruff. Mayor, before we get started tonight, I want to welcome our live audience. Give yourselves a hand, please. Isn't that great? It's wonderful that you're here. Remember, it's the third Thursday of every night, 6:45 p.m. at City Hall. Third Thursday of every month, at City Hall. Mayor, a lot's happened in the last few days. We have some big information about the redevelopment and affordable housing. We're going to get to that later. But from the mayor's desk, what do we need to touch on tonight?
Well, tonight we have Bob Aquino, who's seated to your right, a township engineer, and he's going to be followed later on with Mark Fasher. Councilman Fasher has been our point person with respect to affordable housing and also redevelopment, and we've got some things to talk about there that have literally just come down within the last couple of days, which are substantially changing things, and so we've got to speak a little bit about that. The budget process is winding down. We hope to present the budget on the 22nd of March, which is the next meeting, and then vote on it, adopt it, the following meeting in early April. I want to thank all our department heads, Mr. Pasicolo, everyone else involved, our CFO, and everybody that's chipped in on this and done this in an extremely expedited fashion compared to the previous.
Inside scoop, looks tight, looks solid. What's the inside scoop?
It's the same as it is every year, Doc. I mean, you take a little bit from Peter, give it to Paul, and then see what happens. But
2% cap.
Well, absolutely. All right, and to the extent we can be under that in certain circumstances, we will be. At the same time, that budget's going to include a little bit what we're going to speak to Bob about tonight, our continuing commitment to the town roads, and that's continuing at the minimum rate of over $500,000 a year in a rolling capital plan, and redevelopment continues. We're getting there. We've just had recently core tests on the property here, and they've come out
soil tests.
Soil tests, yeah.
Okay, so no EPA issues, no water issues?
No water issues that we can see right now, and our architects and our professionals feel very comfortable about where we are. That's all good news, because if you get yourself involved in a construction situation and you hit those problems, that's when the dollars start to mount up, unexpected dollars. So hopefully we can avoid that. And so that's moving forward. Our architect is really crunching the size of the building that we're going to put up here. So that's all moving well. We've signed the contract. So that's another benchmark in this entire operation. So things are moving.
Construction hats, hard hats go on approximately one best case scenario. Do we have a date?
We don't, and I don't want to put us in a position.
And then let's not go there.
Okay,
that we understand. Good. So we're going to segue. You've walked every road in the township, Bob, or you just know which road needs to be paved next? Where are we with the paving?
Well, we have walked every road. A few years ago, about 3 years ago, we physically walked every street in town to kind of assess the condition. At that time, we knew the roads were overall, I would say, in failing condition, as pretty much they are throughout the country. But anyway, we did go out and walk every street, and we presented the governing body at the time with a 15-year plan for getting, within 15 years, all those streets resurfaced.
And we're progressing
We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule because due to some efficiencies and cost savings, we were able to get some more roads paved than we actually were planning. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and hopefully that trend will continue. I'm actually, probably by the end of the month, we'll be starting on a new phase of streets. This year's 2016 streets.
Now, are we keeping the same projected layout of streets, or has that already been modified?
It's going to be modified somewhat.
A fluid document.
Exactly, because the roads deteriorate at different rates, and to accommodate that, we will shuffle some different streets in and perhaps take some out.
Bob, can you speak a little bit towards the circumstance of Snyder? I know a lot of citizens in town have spoken about the condition of Snyder, and we have had a portion of Snyder paved. Where's that looking?
Snyder Avenue, actually, we applied for a grant about a year ago, and were awarded that grant, and that's from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. That entails we have to have some engineering done. That is done. Those plans are submitted to the state for their review. So we have to get their review back before we can actually go out to bid to get a contractor to pave those roads. I expect that would be more realistically probably summer of this year, possibly late spring, but more than likely summer.
How much of Snyder will be paved, once those monies are approved?
That section for that project is from Mountain Avenue down to Locust Avenue. There's another section between the railroad tracks and Locust, which we'll do outside the grant money.
It's Union County Road?
No, that's a township. That's a township road.
Okay, that's a township road.
That is a township
All
road.
right. Now, we have other things going on in your department. What else do we expect? It's springtime, so that means what?
Springtime,
Chipping?
we have a chipping program, yard waste program will be out. That'll be starting in April. The dates are on our website, and the maps are there, which can show you which section you're in. And there's also a street-by-street listing, so you can look up your street, see what section you're in, and that's going to be starting in April. We're currently out to bid also on a bulk pickup program, which is our spring cleanup. It was last year, I think we did it in the fall, just due to some circumstances, we'll say. So we're getting it back on track. I know we had an informal poll of the residents, and it came back where the residents were in favor of bringing it back to the spring to bring some more consistency to it.
Yeah, get used to getting everything
So,
cleaned out.
that's out to bid now. If everything goes right, we expect that to start in May.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
why, Doc, that's why the budget being passed in a expeditious fashion is so important, because if that's delayed, then the whole bidding process becomes delayed, and the whole response becomes delayed, and the next thing you know, you have to make a decision between spring and fall. You're not going to make a decision between spring and summer because people are away.
Sure.
So you lose the spring, and that's in part what occurred last year. So we think we've remedied that. So, we hope we're back to a pattern that, that fits a spring cleaning.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Now, first year we used our brining program for the roads. Well, not the most aggressive winter, but what's the bottom line on the brining program?
As you said, it wasn't the most harsh winter, but we found the brine to be very effective. We pre-treated a lot of the roads, especially in the hilly areas near the high school. And it definitely, we've noticed that the streets clean a lot cleaner once, you make your first pass with the plow. A lot of times if you didn't brine it, the traffic driving over will compact it and it doesn't clean up nice with the plow. Right. But we found this year that it definitely made the roads a lot safer, quicker by the brining. So we're definitely very pleased with the results of it and plan on continuing it next year. Hopefully not needed again this year.
There you go.
Bob, one of the things that I know a lot of people in town are glad that we've come back to is the street sweeper situation. Explain to the people, if you would, what the pattern is. In other words, I know it's out there all day, every day, pretty much, weather providing. How do we approach the use of the street sweeper, and if people have particular problems with respect to their streets, how can that be addressed?
Basically, they have their routes that are assigned to them by our assistant director, Mr. Niosi. But if a resident has a street that they find is in need of sweeping, definitely call my office, engineering department, and we'll definitely have a look at it. And if it's in need, we could possibly adjust our schedule to fit them in.
Okay, I guess I'd have the same question then, not to create an avalanche of phone calls for you, but the same question with respect to the repair of roads. All right, obviously we have what is the result of our efforts a few years ago. You're going to maintain flexibility, which is good. Let's say a particular individual, citizen says, look, my road is dangerous. How do we address that?
Well, again, give me a call. Now, I'm not saying definitely we can pave that road, but we can at least get it patched and try to make it as safe as we can until that time when we can pave it. Again, we got to try to prioritize which roads we've paved based on the traffic that's on the road, the condition of the road, of course, and a budget, of course.
Yeah. So it is a fluid document.
Yep.
People can contact you, evaluate it, and we'll do the best we can to make it safe as a bare minimum, and hopefully, if need be, move it up on the list.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of great things are happening in the engineering department. Bob Bacino, thank you for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a short break right now, and when we come back, we're going to have Councilman Fasher with us. Going to talk a little bit about redevelopment and affordable housing, so we got a lot of Interesting things going on. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio for the Mayor's Roundtable, and Mayor Robert Woodruff. We'll be right back. Do it for Mom. That's right, Do It for Mom, the Mother's Day 5K. This year, on May 8th, the Mother's Day race will be held here in Berkeley Heights. It's the Summit Area-wide Mother's Day 5K that raises money for the Live Strong event. Now let's find out what that means. Tiffany Escott, Executive Director, Branch Director here in Berkeley Heights of the Y. What is the Live Strong program?
The Live Strong program is a 12-week free program for cancer survivors. It helps them get back into exercising, learn to be the new normal after dealing with cancer.
And it's free, and you don't have to live in the local community to partake in it. It gets your life back. But it's not just about that. This is also a family event. Olivia, you've done this event every day, every year of your life, correct?
Yeah.
How can that be?
Well, when I was, my mom, she put me in the stroller and she ran.
So as a baby you ran, but now you run yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your PR? What's your best time?
28 minutes.
Very cool. Now you run with the Happy Feet Is It Club?
Yeah.
And tell me about that.
Every year at Woodruff School, we run and train for the 5K.
That's excellent. So you're going to run for a PR this year?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Go hit that PR. Olivia, we look forward to seeing you there. And we want to see you too. Come support the event. For families that come, Tiffany, there's going to be what? Face painting and what else?
We have a magic show, we have Zumba, and we have a tot trot. And there's lots of other activities for family and children to do.
That's what it's all about. It's a family event. Registration at 7:30. Race is off at 9. Mayor's going to hit the gun. You're done by 10:30 to be home and go have a brunch in town with one of the great restaurants here. That's what it's all about. Do it for Mom. The Mother's Day 5K, May 8th, 2016. Welcome back to the Mayor's Roundtable. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio with Mayor Robert Woodruff, and our next guest, Councilman Mark Fasher, who's found out some very interesting news. Mayor, why don't you give everybody a quick synopsis of what happened, and then we'll turn it over to Councilman Fasher.
Okay, and just Mark has become our point person with respect to affordable housing as well as redevelopment, kind of taking over where Kevin Hall was in that position. Kevin still assists us. And we've spoken, you and I have spoken repeatedly about affordable housing on this show. And once again, the goal line has been moved, okay? And that's just really occurred within the last 2 days. So it's fortuitous that we had Mark lined up to come on, and Mark's very involved in it. And so we have to reevaluate some things, but at the same time, we continue to deal with developers in our town in what we hope to be a reasonable and fair fashion, and we happen to be in pretty good positions with a couple of them, but that may or may not answer all the questions for us, and that's why Mark's here to
So
talk
Mark,
about
what
it.
happened? I mean, that all sounded great, but that still doesn't happen. Tell me what happened 2 days ago that everything's changed.
First of all, good evening. Thanks for having me on.
I mean, I got to introduce you and thank you for coming on. I was
There you
saying,
go.
boy,
I was
everybody's
thinking-
taking away my job. Come on. We do that at the end, Mark. We do it at the
Okay.
end. Gee whiz.
I'm stealing your
man.
thunder.
That's okay. You're allowed.
Okay, so just stepping back before we move forward, we had been undergoing a process where the town would make applications seeking immunity from Mount Laurel suits.
Okay.
In other words, preventing us from getting sued by builders under the affordable housing law. We'd been progressing nicely in that. As a matter of fact, our papers for our next immunity application were actually due tomorrow, and the motion was to be heard April 4th.
Okay.
Well, Wednesday, there was a case management conference that involved all of the municipalities in Union County. It was before the two judges that are handling all of those cases. And instead of pursuing these individual immunity applications, the court said they were going to pick one town within Union County and try the issue of what expert should be believed as far as allocating the number of affordable homes in each municipality. And so Fair Share Housing Center, which is in a way the plaintiff, has an expert that said, for example, in Berkeley Heights, 858 housing units would need to be constructed. The municipalities have their own expert, eConsult, they're called. In Berkeley Heights, they determined that the number wasn't 858, but instead was 218.
Wow, that's
so
a
a
big
very,
difference.
very
That's a
big,
big difference.
very big goalposts on
Did all,
either side.
did all the municipalities use the same outside consultant, or they all use different outside consultants?
Almost all of them use the same consultant. There's a consortium of municipalities, one, to save costs, and also it would be really unwieldy having 555 or whatever the number of municipalities there are in New Jersey having different experts. So to get reasonable analysis and determinations, it's more of a consortium.
So what does that mean? What happens now?
Well, one town is going to be picked, and it creates a host of issues. Is that town going to have to fund the entire litigation? And then if that town isn't very well prepared in moving forward with the litigation, as opposed to another town, that would create a problem. So what the court suggested was that while that one municipality might be selected, the other towns could do what's called intervene, so actually make an application to have standing and actually become a party to that litigation.
Mayor, is that kind of like when I get these things in the mail about class action suits and they name me a party in the class action suit? Is it that type of thing? Or
well,
it's kind of hard to understand if one town is representing affordable housing and the other people are
Well, here's what
it.
troubled me when I first heard this, is that there was no due process. In other words,
Yeah, does that surprise anybody? It's
well,
trend.
it's a little troublesome because what you're saying is, okay, we're going to allow fair share as the plaintiff and Town A, and whatever comes out of fair share versus Town A, everybody must adhere to. And that's what a lot of the attorneys on behalf of the townships took exception to. And then the court said, well, we'll allow you to intervene, like Mark just said, which now says, okay, we intervene. Well, that puts you at the desk, okay, puts you at the table, okay? Now the next question is, and it's again, it goes back to, okay, who runs this litigation? What if after a day and a half we make a quick determination, this town's not prepared, and we're gonna get stuck with the results of them not being prepared?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a morass of procedural concerns we have here, but again, as I said, and what Mark is bearing out, they're moving the goalpost. They're moving the goal line again. I mean,
So what do we
go?
do? What's our game plan, or what can we as a municipality do at this stage?
Well, I think we're very well situated as a town. We've got the top experts. We've got a law firm that has been involved in the affordable housing, the Mount Laurel decision since inception. Our attorney actually clerked for one of the judges that was involved in administering the opinion. So we're well represented there. We've got a planner. And what we're doing is the same thing we've been doing throughout the process. There's a mediation process with developers that have intervened in Berkeley Heights piece of the litigation, Locust Avenue, the King's property, the movie theater property. We've been mediating with them. We reached a settlement to the point of drafting an MOU that's been signed by both sides with respect to the Locust Avenue property. That would be 55 and older apartment housing, something that I think is sorely needed in this town. So we've reached an agreement on that property. We continue to mediate with the others, but again, it takes two to tango, and you need reasonable development and in a measured way, and we continue to have those negotiations.
So we're going ahead, but the state can change the numbers or change what we can do?
It's not going to affect the fact that we want to continue negotiating with these developers. That's going to continue under any stretch.
But we're looking with the redevelopment to put up the Hamilton Avenue property and put some affordable housing in there. How's that going to fit? Is that a deal breaker?
We're still going to get our percentages. Okay, we're still going to say, okay, if you're going to put up 100 units and you're going to hopefully get 15%, and that's going to be a condition of the development. We're still going to get that. Now the next, but what's out there is, if we get that, what's left? Okay, if we get that, we still have, there's still other formula. Where's this formula going to end up? In other words,
got it.
Okay, so now
still have to meet the need.
We still have to meet the need. So we're building towards meeting those needs.
I understand.
Okay, and we're doing it in a responsible fashion. But now, the first thing that hit me, and I thought about this before tonight, is okay. In 2 weeks from now, is there going to be a different game?
Yeah.
In 2 weeks from now, our lawyer's going to say, well, wait a minute, we're going to do this another way now. That still doesn't stop what we're doing and what our people are doing with respect to the affordable.
But the end line is
correct,
moved, like you said.
It gets frustrating because it needs to be remembered. These are taxpayers' dollars going to this, and it's expensive, and it's going to continue to be. And we're trying to do our best to monitor that.
Well, when Mayor said taxpayers' dollars, and how does it impact the citizens here in terms of their taxpayer? How does it impact the bottom line of the municipality?
Well, we've budgeted for legal fees in defending these actions and in mediating the cases with the different developers. But for example, what happened on Wednesday, were Berkeley Heights to be the town that's selected by the court, then all of a sudden we're going to have to defend or prosecute a litigation depending how you're looking at it. So that's a completely different ballgame. So
that's where Lady Carmel's going to come in and help us, right, guys? It's time to say a little special novena to her.
Right.
But seriously, what is affordable housing? It's a very complex definition, I understand. Could you kind of whittle it down for citizens to understand?
I don't have the calculation in front of me, but essentially what it is you look at the median income in the municipality, and then it's a percentage to get to what's considered low income, and then obviously a greater percentage is considered moderate income. So it's measured against income. It has nothing to do with the property values. It's more an income-based and need-based determination.
Oh, okay, so I understand. I always thought it was the property itself.
Most people do think it's property. Okay, it's really not. It's income.
It's income-based.
It's income-based, absolutely.
So lots going on, Mark. What else do you think we need to know as citizens about the change in the last couple of days and where it's going with affordable housing?
I think it's a wait-and-see approach to see if this is the process that goes on. I think the next step in that process is the selection of a municipality that's going to be the test case. Based on what was said at the last case management conference, that's supposed to happen within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Wow,
a town will be selected, so it's that quickly. And then we'll have another decision point. If it's us, we have to decide how we're going to staff that. If it's not us, how do we intervene, and how do we best represent the interests of Berkeley Heights?
Got it.
So that's the next
And we don't know
inflection
that quite
point. We don't know that yet. And then regardless of what the number is, and the mayor started to allude to this, we continue to mediate with each of these developers, but at the end of the day, there's only so much developable property, and
what happens?
we can only do what we do.
What happens if we have to put in 800 units, but we only have enough developable property for 400 units? What happens?
Well, this is part of the process. We've already done what's called a vacant land analysis, where our experts have actually gone to all pieces of property that are vacant, and then you look at them and see if they can actually be developed. For example, Snyder, the athletic field complex, shows up as vacant land. That's not developable. It's parkland. So you scratch that off the list. And so you see which properties can actually be developed, and then that's what you're left with towards satisfying that affordable housing obligation. That's your redevelopment potential. And then the gap between what you could actually construct and what that number is what's called the unmet need. And so you can only do what you can do and move towards satisfying that reasonably.
The unmet need. So that's kind of the big question mark. We don't know where
the
that's
big question mark,
gonna end.
and there's been, and this is like they say, Mount Laurel 3, or arguably Mount Laurel 3. I don't think we don't know what the unmet need is.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know, all right? So, and who knows what's going to happen with the next governor? Who knows what's going to happen with the next Supreme Court? Who knows if somebody doesn't take one of these cases up and the next thing you know, things change. So,
But
we are.
it's my understanding, though, that this whole affordable housing that's in the courts now isn't a legislative issue, it's a constitutional issue. Is that correct?
Yeah, what happened is actually in 1975, there was a decision called, it involved the municipality of Mount Laurel,
Okay,
and it was actually a land use decision. And what happened was, in that decision, the court said that there's, under the New Jersey Constitution, there's a constitutional right to have affordable housing close to where you work. So think about that. That's done by Constitution, and what that means is that you can't adopt a piece of legislation that's inconsistent with the Constitution.
Maybe.
In order to change that, you'd have to actually amend the Constitution. So we need to follow the law, we need to follow the court decision. There have actually been 4 different Mount Laurel decisions, the last one being March of 2015, and that's where the court said, after COA was basically abolished, they said, we need to take this process over, and this is the result.
Got it. Got it. Oh boy, some bumpy road coming down the
Well,
pipe.
Doc, all we can do is have our professionals do what
Sure.
they do.
And be prepared.
And as Marcus said, I think we're well represented.
Yeah.
And that's that's our obligation to the people of this town. And then we're going to have some decisions to make, and that falls on our lap. And
We'll move forward.
And that's our job.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we have to do.
Councilman Fasher, great presentation. Thank you for coming out tonight. We really want to appreciate your time. Want to welcome you to the show as well. You did a great job on your inaugural visit. Seriously, we look forward to having you back as this rolls out, because I'm sure there's going to be more questions. So, keep all the notes, because we're going to want to share it with everybody.
You saw my copious note-taking, and again, thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. Our pleasure. Mayor, any final thoughts or comments for our residents?
No, I just want our residents to understand that if they have any questions, to come forward. These are not easy things to
Yeah.
necessarily
There's a
explain
lot of layers.
or understand all the time. And Mark and I, as attorneys, have difficult times, parsing through what goes on here. But come forward, all right? And please understand, though, that we are doing our best to put us in the best possible position. And it's an ongoing venture. There's no doubt about it.
Sounds like it's going in the right direction again for Mayor Robert Woodruff and our inaugural guest that's been welcomed several times this evening, Councilman Fasher. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio for the Mayor's Town Roundtable. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to hearing your comments and words. Thank you. Have a good night.